Hello and welcome to WCATChats, where we explore the stories of people in our Westminster community and beyond. I'm Wyatt Garfinkel.
And I'm Wilson Knoll. Welcome to our first episode in the brand new Blake Center. Our guest today, Coach Chad Walker, is in his first year at Westminster as a permanent sub and an defensive backs coach for the football team.
And before this, Coach Walker spent his time in college coaching at 7 different universities, including LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, West Virginia, among many other, as well as 2 NFL teams, the Miami Dolphins and your Atlanta Falcons. I know everyone around Westminster is, thrilled to have you here. So welcome to our studio here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
we are blessed.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, as I look around, this place is amazing.
it is amazing.
I'm really blessed to be here with you guys. Looking forward to this chat. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Get to know y'all as well. So,
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're very grateful for this brand new studio and all the different opportunities we can explore along with it. So first, we're going to kind of talk about your football journey. You've had a very storied career in coaching football with experience at all 3 different levels. So we were just wondering, how did your road guide you to Westminster?
wow, long journey. It's been a fun one. I couldn't have done it with a lot of support along the way, but I'm a big believer in visualization. I'm a big believer in really working hard for chasing your dream, and that's exactly what I did. I wanted to coach at a young age. I knew it. Started off coaching in a baseball rec league, which ended up being like the all-star team out of that league in New Orleans. And that was before all the days of travel. And I knew I wanted to coach right there, but I had to find a way. So what I mean by visualization is I had a goal board, probably my sophomore year in college at LSU. And I put on my wall, and I put the NFL shield on the wall, on the top of it. And I learned that a goal is nothing but a dream with a deadline. And so I put on there, I wanted to make it to the NFL by the time I was 30 years old. I believe I did it when I was 28 or 29. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. And there's kind of a quote that I live by. Skip Bertman, he's a famous baseball coach at LSU, the old coach there, Hall of Famer. I might screw it up a little bit, but anything you sincerely believe, anything you enthusiastically act upon, you grit your teeth on every single day, absolutely must absolutely come to pass. So basically, if you can picture it and you believe it and you work hard after it, you chase your dream. And so I feel very fortunate. Love coaching, love teaching people, try to inspire learning, make people drive to be their best. And that's kind of where my career is taking us now.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. I love that you talk about like the visualization piece. I think for so many athletes and even coaches and artists, that mental side is really overlooked. I think that's super important. Like I write messages on my mirror. So I was really inspired by that. That's really cool. To get more into kind of how you started, you were at LSU coaching, I think, as a student assistant there. Yeah. Just tell us a little bit about that, how you landed a role like that.
Yeah. Be where your feet are. Right? Be where your feet are. I knew I had that dream, but at that time, I had no idea how I was getting into coaching. I was doing that little gig during the summer in baseball in the spring, but then I needed to be in class. And I was in class one day and overheard the student talking about how he was a manager for the football team at LSU. And so I picked his brain a little bit. I said, hey, will there be an opportunity for me to meet the boss? His name was actually Jeff Boss. And I said, yeah, I'll set it up for you. So I had a chance to be a manager, worked as a volunteer, what we called a trainee. And they said our first job was going to be, my first job, they put me in the bottom of Tiger Stadium in a room about half the size of this one and said, you need to clean out the lint. Yeah. So I did it. Do what you got to do, right? Yeah. And then so the next job I had was with a group of us. We all went out to the turf at the indoor basically got on their knees and picked up lynch strings. So long story short, those 2 years prepared me working with other individuals that were like-minded, that wanted to coach, and that or went into equipment manager. And so I had an opportunity to prove to my boss and my peers that I could do a good job, and then they went to bat for me. And when Coach Saban joined us from Michigan State, it was his first year. I said, Coach, I just want to learn. I want to work. And had a chance.
That's really cool.
Yeah, blessed. And then kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
Being good.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of that story is like I feel like a lot of these the stories, like you start all the way at the bottom, like cleaning lint out of the small room in the basement. And a lot of the time, like people don't recognize that. And I think that it's really important. Like I've always thought like the concept of student coach is super cool, but I was always super confused because like whenever people talk about it, they don't include that step. They don't include like you actually have to earn it. There's like, oh, I became a student coach. But I also think it's really important to, like you did, remember like you do learn things from that time. Like it's not just pointless. You learn how to work with others. You learn how to work with people around that organization. I think that's really cool. Yeah. I like that.
That really led, so the manager piece led to being a student coach. That's something you probably don't ever see out there. But if had I not been in class, right, doing what I was supposed to do, and later on, there's a story in life how I moved on, how I ended up meeting Coach Stoops in Oklahoma. Yeah. And I was kind of doing what I was supposed to do at that point too, being where my feet were. And so it kind of just leads to great opportunities.
Mm-hmm. You know, I always hear my mom talk about be present, be in the moment. Everything good happens in the present. So that's really cool. I just want to get into some of those relationships with coaches. I mean, you coach with guys like, you know, Saban, obviously, Dan Quinn, Jimbo Fisher, Bob Stoops. Like there are so many great names. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned from those guys, whether it be specific or just in general?
Yeah. Once again, the amount of support, the amount of teachers that I've mentors that I've had in my life has been a blessing. It's been a blessing even to work alongside some of these coaches that have really flourished at the higher levels, and they flourished at the lower levels. So, so got my start with Coach Saban. That's really been the foundation of everything that I learned, that I believe, whether it's learning from the top down, basically how to run an organization, how to run an institution, or how to run a club. And he has an intense focus, like it's very hard to describe. There's this intensity where it's the Super Bowl every single day, or the national championship every single day. But it's this ability to focus on the task at hand and then have the ability to structure out time management, efficiency, evaluation. Everything was under constant evaluation, constant analysis. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we learn from the situation? Little lessons like that I picked up along the way. Defensively, right? How to structure defensive schemes. That happens throughout, the course of, over time. That was back in 2000. But a lot of things have changed, but they haven't. Yeah. Along that way, on that 2003 staff, we had a lot of great coaches. We won a national championship that year. And then, I've been blessed. Then when we went to Miami, back in 2004, Kirby Smart was on our staff, who worked alongside with, along with Will Muschamp, got a chance to be a graduate assistant under him. And then went to Miami with him as well. And so kind of that continuation, the structure that we had been in place, a little bit different. You're talking to different players, but maybe at different age levels. And Coach Quinn, he's been phenomenal, to me. Had a chance to link up with DQ the first time in 2005 at Miami on that staff, and then we had a chance to reconnect again at 2015, 16. Let's see, 2015, 16, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
that's a long time to be with a coach like that. Also, you were talking about like relationships, and you were with a guy like Dan Quinn, and then I think Saban brought you with him to the NFL. Is that
Yes.
how that went? Yeah. So how much do relationships in coaching, and even in playing or in anything really matter like that?
Yeah, I think the world's about relationships. It's about being able to work with people. It's about being able to understand people. Coaching is relationships, whether it's, being able to get someone to do something maybe they don't want to do in terms of, or they don't realize that they're not doing it correctly, and you've got to be able to get them there. Teaching is relationships. How can you inspire learning, getting to know the learner, and can you get them from point A to point B? And but yeah, definitely, coaching's a small world. I mean, there's a lot of great coaches out there. I've been at every level now. They're phenomenal coaches at every level, and but it's usually interconnected. A lot of people, that maybe have similar philosophies. Get a chance to share and learn different fundamentals and different techniques.
Okay. That's really cool. Yeah. So you talked about like the different kinds of coaching styles. Obviously, we've seen there's a ton, notably the national championship winning head coach, Kurt Cignetti. He's known for being super intense, obviously like never smiles at all. It's like, do you have a kind of like mindset that you bring into practice? Like some of them, they're super intense. Like I know playing basketball, I've had coaches, they're super intense with everything. They just rip into you if you mess up. But then there's also some that like kind of are a little nicer. And there's obviously pros and cons to each way. And do you have like a kind of style that you like the most?
Yeah, be authentic. I think I am who I am. I'm probably a little bit of a combination of a lot of people I've been around, but I'm myself. You probably have to ask my players here at Westminster, Coleman Fleming and those guys what I'm like, but I'm intense. Definitely, we had a little exercise over in athletics, was talking about some of the best advice you've ever learned in coaching. And I had a chance to share, I wrote on the board, and I wrote, players or student athletes will rise and fall to your expectation level. So you get what you demand. But at the same time, there's ways you can go about that. You don't have to be demeaning. You can, hey, this isn't right. Let's run it again. And be stern with it. I think a good teacher finds a way to relate to their players or their students. And so, that's probably my style. I know I like to run around. You've seen me, Wyatt. I ran from the whistle, the beginning until the end. I think playing with great effort and intensity is what it's all about. But I don't think you can play great defense.
I know you're the expert, but I think especially at the type of positions you coach, it really is all about effort, intensity, and just giving it your all 100%, which, I think our safeties this year, you could definitely see that in them. Now going specific, comparing a high school safety to an NFL safety, obviously there's a lot of differences. Can you tell us about how you might coach the two differently? The difference in play style, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't coach them any different. I don't coach the safeties any different than what we did at Mississippi College, or what we did in the NFL. There's a little bit of difference, the hash marks, the ability, the covering ability. Try to ask them. Obviously, there might be some things that we can't do at the high school level just because of ability, whether it's being able to run and cover from the middle of the field all the way to the boundary. That can be a little different. We call it red line to red line. So our range might not be as significant, but all good players want to be coached. They want to be coached hard. They want information. I have a great story dealing with this player one time. And I knew the answer, and it was a drive that went down. It was basically in a 4-minute situation, right? You're familiar with that. They needed to take the air out of it, and we needed to stop them. We needed to get the ball back. Well, we had a bust. We had a bust up front, and we didn't get it. We didn't stop. Well, I had this player come off the sidelines and say, "Hey, what happened?" Well, I knew what happened, and I didn't want to. At that moment, I thought it was best to just let it go. It's the end of the game. We'll talk about it. And I remember this player looking right at my face and saying, "It's your job to know what happened." And I said, "You're right. You're right, it is." And then I walked away, and then we, ended up talking post game. But that taught me a lesson at a young age: is great players, they want to know an answer right now. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the answer, you need to tell them, "I don't know what happened." Mm-hmm. And you need to figure out a way to do it in a fashion where it's no one's fault. Here was the breakdown in the assignment. But at the same time, this is how we're going to correct it. It was a valuable lesson I learned at young, and then I've never forgotten it.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying earlier your players rise to the level that you expect of them. And I think for players to be acting like that and being that confident, being able to talk to you like that, I think that definitely shows something about your leadership as well as the entire coaching staff, being really open and being able to communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a level of comfort that players have with like really good coaches that they respect. Like I know players who have like really disliked their head coach, and it almost feels like if they mess up, they don't even want to talk to them because they're like, "I don't want your opinion at all." And so even like if something like that might come off as like a little disrespectful to some people, but like it's really like the ultimate form of respect. It's like, I want your opinion, and I very much value it, and I'm going to like take it and use it. Yeah. And kind of going off that, you've obviously coached a ton of kids and players in the past. Is there anybody who like you maybe had a bond with and you thought, like, this kid, he's going to go places, like he's legit?
Yeah. Well, I've had a ton of players that have just been so fun to work with. Like every day it didn't feel like I was going to work, and it was a joy. Yeah, I mean, there's players here every day that I don't know what they're going to end up doing in their career, but I mean, every safety that I work with here, I could say that. I mean, I've just been so impressed with the caliber of student and the caliber of person here. As well. I mean, I get to see y'all work, and this is such an unbelievable environment. But yeah, there's been some guys from a football standpoint of saying, okay, yeah, you can be this, right? I'll give you an example. Great story. So I was at Mississippi College, and it was my first year I went in, and there was this defensive back that had played a little bit. He had played a little bit, and I saw his profile in terms of his athletic profile. He had long arms. And I just had this vision of how we were going to use him in the defense. And I told him, I said, okay, this is the vision that I have for you. You can be a starting press corner in this league. We can make you man-to-man. If you're willing to buy in to this vision that we have for you, with these things that you have to do, and you have to completely go for it. Mm-hmm. You have to work as hard as you can and chase it. If you're willing to do that, right, I think we can play winning football with you. And he took it to a whole nother level. He ended up making an first-team All-American. To this day, he's a very successful young man, and just incredibly proud of the way he was, how much work he put into it. But that was probably a guy, not the only guy, but that was one example of just a guy digging for it. And said, you can go places, at least in this system, athletically I'm talking about, that we wanted to run.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You were talking about a little man-to-man. Those are defensive terms for those of you all at home that aren't aware. But I want to get into schemes, which is something I am pretty curious about. Going from when you started as a student manager and I think around 2000 to now, how have you seen defenses and even offenses evolve schematically, but also the different types of players?
Yeah, a great question. Well, back when I first started, everything was traditionally I-backs, right? So 2 backs in the backfield, a tight end, and a tight end flanker and a splitter. So a 21 personnel, true fullback. And then they would have slot off of that. And then every now and then, third down, they get out in a shotgun and go 3 wideouts. So your defensive install usually reflected that. You could be very multiple in those type of formations.
Sure.
Well, as the game has changed a little bit, and I remember back in maybe 2003, it might be 2000. Arkansas was running a little bit of zone read with Houston Nutt and Matt Jones, a quarterback. Might have been 03. And this was the first time I had to probably seen that on film. So kind of gravitated a little bit. It's starting to become more spread. Yeah. So I think defenses evolved to that. Then it became RPO. So first a little bit of run and shoot. Then it started going a little bit more RPO. The element of reading the inside players, which is like your defensive tackles in the inside. Teams have been gone from mainly single high to split safety coverages. Yeah. You'll appreciate that. Yeah. And now you're starting to see a little bit, then it goes to 10 personnel looks where you spread you out to run it. Then teams start going more odd stack type stuff, 3-3. And then you bring it back down and you now you're starting to see way more condensed formations. Yeah. I think people are countering those types of things with, so football continues to evolve. Players, once again, they want to be, started seeing more space players, guys that could cover. Yeah. Coverage ability.
Yeah, that's why I love football because, you'll play a team like we did this year, Gilmer County, and they run the triple option and they throw the ball, twice a game. And then you play a team like Cambridge or even a team like Cal, and like Cambridge probably threw it around 40 times. Yes. I think that's the beauty of high school football is you get kind of both sides. Coming back to high school football a little bit, I just want to hear your thoughts about the season and looking forward to next season. How do you think things are going to go?
Yeah, it was tough year from a statistics standpoint, a record standpoint. But at the same time, Coach Stewart did a great job of, enforcing a standard. Here's our standard. Here's how we want to go with it. I thought our team bought in. Our guys really fought each game, right? We had to overcome adversity a lot of times. But at the same time, they showed resilience week in, week out, to where, the foundation has been set. And so I know there's buy-in. I know the fellas are ready to get, hungry to get to work. We had a great banquet last night. It was awesome to see the guys again. But I really think the arrow is going up for us as long as we continue to buy into the Coach Stewart standard, and keep working hard and going for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of promise in the future with football. Obviously, I don't know a ton, but I know from like my friends and the kids in my grade, they love the new coaches. Like Good. They're definitely buying into it. I know they're going to give it 110% every single time, 10 times out of 10. And then we're talking a little bit about the evolving game, and I was just trying to put it into like basketball terms, and it's like how the traditional center of the 2000s, like Shaquille O'Neal, and how that's like almost not a thing anymore, and now it's more like Nikola Jokic shooting threes, it's just pulling from half court.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
well, I want to get a little bit into your story about your connection with Coach Stewart and how that started, and how did he get you here?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So we're both from New Orleans, and I was very familiar with Newman. I actually went to a smaller school than Newman, a small independent school as well. And but I was familiar. We played. I'm a little bit. I think I'm the class above him, but knew him just through recruiting. Knew him through reputation. I remember, I used to go and recruit his school. Maybe when I was at Bryant, Mississippi College, I was there. I'd go sit down with him, get to know him. Just had a lot of respect for him, a lot of mutual respect. Remember he was telling the story last night about how one of the receivers he was telling me about was Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah. And he's just, we've maintained that relationship. I'm just connected with him this summer and said, hey, I'm excited for you, really pumped up for you. And, hey, let's do this. This will be fun. And I knew about Westminster, prestigious institution here in terms of academics. And I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah. So actually, Wyatt and I got the opportunity after the Westminster season ended. We got to call one of the GHSA playoff games. It was Wyatt, Coach Stewart, and I. And I obviously, I got to interview Coach Stewart some during the season, post-game, halftime. And I could tell he was, legit. And then one of the things that impressed me most is when we were calling the game, I kind of got to see a little bit into the mind of Coach Stewart. So I was doing play-by-play. It's just ran the ball. And Coach Stewart would give a full analysis of the play. And I would hear all these words that I've never heard before. And it just comes out on the screen and into your ears. And it was amazing. I was completely flabbergasted.
When Coach talk.
Yeah, it was, and I loved it because, being a quarterback, I like all that type of stuff where you got to think about it and going back and forth with him. That was a lot of fun.
He's on it. He can do it.
Oh yeah. I think he's got some sort of background in radio in New Orleans. I think he did things like that.
Yeah.
So you can tell.
He said he did it some for the high school. I'm not sure if it was Newman in New Orleans, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. We talked about learning different things from coaches. Is there any one specific lesson that through your journey that you got from a coach that you kind of put into your everyday coaching life or style?
Well, I think just really the lessons I've learned is go for it. If you believe in something and you want to chase it, you got to go get it. You've got to put the work in to do it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. But the only way if you can accomplish something is you've got to have that commitment to stick with it, that self-belief, that confidence to where you got to go for it. And the next thing is the last thing, I know I mentioned this earlier, is be authentic, be yourself. That's so important. People could see right through you if you're not yourself. Mm-hmm. You got to be yourself. But biggest lesson is go for it.
Yeah. I know as someone who is really interested in, your type of path, playing and then hopefully coaching that, I would love to be in those type of rooms. So, from the bottom of our hearts, we just want to say thank you for being a part of this first WCATChats episode in this brand new Blake Center.
Yeah. And then one kind of just fun question that we wanted to add at the end. So I feel like a lot of people, they've got a post-game snack, or a lot of people at Westminster, they go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. Kurt Zunetti, he made it very well known that he likes to drink a beer after his games. Is there anything one restaurant food ordered that you go to after games?
Yeah.
No, if I do, I might stop at a gas station and get one of those big tall waters. You'll always see me walking around here with a water bottle. Mm-hmm. I constantly am losing a lot of fluids back and forth. So yeah, that's really about it.
All right. Coach Walker, is there anything else you'd like to add, a final thought?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all. Honored to be here. It's been a lot of fun. Really honored to be here, the first one, but this place is amazing and really, really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.